Hello and welcome to another edition of Grandstanders Live. I'm your host, Scott Kerman, and I'm joined by my usual cohorts, Uncle Joe McLaughlin, and he's JP's first son, Tim Hoey. Oh, we have another great show for you tonight. So, boys, let's get started. The professor should be here at any moment. So, Bedlam.
Is he flying in on the G? He's landing.
Yep,
The G5 is landing right now. G5.
he's going to ride to the rescue, just like you, Tim.
So when the professor comes in, we have to behave. Sit up, Timmy. I want to make sure.
Straighten up. No slouching.
No slouching. We got to look good. But until then, we don't. But breaking news from the Grandstanders Live desk: 2 deals for Brad Stevens and the Boston Celtics before the deadline.
They had another one.
Okay, so
really,
the deals as far as acquiring players.
Oh, okay.
We got this kid. Now all of a sudden I'm Springer from the Sixers. Interesting, Timmy. We'll start with Timmy. Were you surprised that the Celtics made a deal with one of their competitors in the Sixers?
Well, one of the first things that I want to say is they must be tuning into this show because they did exactly the 2 things we said that they should do.
Absolutely.
And I am surprised the Sixers made a deal with the Celtics.
Yeah, right. Giving us a young stud, Joe.
And then they made a deal with the Bucks too.
Is that right, Joe?
Yeah. What's his name? The defensive specialist.
No. Blanton.
No, he went to Portland.
He went to Portland
for a draft pick. Second round draft.
Went to who did Stevens go to?
Oh,
I don't know. Some Cleveland, maybe? No, not Cleveland. I don't know. But for our purposes, Springer, young guy, Timmy, young guy, first round pick a few years ago, actually played really well against the Celtics in one game this year. Does he have a role in the playoffs? Or is he just a kind of guy to get through the regular season with?
Well, they went and got him. They gave 2 second-round picks. I don't know how that's really viewed as how valuable that's really viewed, but some guys grab some guys in the second round who end up being very successful. We needed some more beef in front, and they saw it and they went and got it. He's beef.
Joe, the guy from Memphis.
Well, I like the Springer deal because now you can arrest D. White and Holiday. Before, when those guys went out, it was Katie by the door. They gave up. The defense got trashed.
I had them mixed up. Springer's the guard.
Yeah, Springer's the What I like.
Okay, I thought we were talking about the forward. What's the forward's name?
What's the forward's name, Joe?
Oh, I'm forgetting now. I'm
forgetting too.
All right. Well, just the professor, I think, was most adamant about it. And Scotty, you might have been on that bandwagon too about getting a super athletic guard to defend, right?
Well, you see every night the Celtics play that some of these young guys just blow right by the Celtics, and
especially the small fast ones. The small fast ones, really give the Celtics, problems.
Yeah,
and I don't know if Spring is going to be the answer, but he is a defensive specialist. He doesn't have much offense. I think he averages like 4 points a game. But he's a lockdown defensive specialist, and that's what we need when Holiday and D. White leaves the game, and they got to take a rest because our backup guards aren't real defensive minded.
Well, Pritchard's the liability when he's out there defensively. There's no question. What I take away from this is, look, the last 10 games have looked like all-star games, and the Celtics right now, I know it's the middle of the season, aren't really committed to defense. I think it's nice to have a guy out in the court who that's his job, because this is kind of weird, right? I mean, nobody's playing any defense in the NBA right now.
It's the doldrums of the season. Everyone's just trying to, in about another month, then you can start the jockeying for position, for the playoffs, then the playoffs. But right now, no one gives a rat's ass.
Timmy, is this sometimes these kind of acquisitions just for maybe a minute or 2 or 3 during the playoffs to stick these guys in?
Yeah, the forward, go in and get 2 fouls, 3 fouls, bang, 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 wear him down a little bit. Who are we worried about? We're worried about
Giannis and Embiid.
Butler, of course.
Giannis, and we're worried about from the center position, the big body. We're worried about Giannis and we're worried about Embiid, right? We got to get through those two guys.
If you get to the finals, and
and Jokic. So we needed a thick steel anvil out there to bang on them for maybe 7-8 minutes in the game.
Yeah, the Memphis kid kind of replaces maybe a Grant Williams role in the playoffs, Joe.
Yeah, and that's the only thing Grant did well was lean on guys, and it's an important thing to do with a guy like Embiid, who's always had like questionable stamina. The fourth quarter has always been tough for him if you throw 3 guys at him all game. Giannis too. Giannis even runs out of gas. We've seen Giannis run out of gas, especially in overtimes.
Yeah, Joe. To your point, we've seen Embiid literally wear down in front of our eyes, and some very important. They rely so much on him to do so much, and if you can make everything that he does taxing on him, he hasn't displayed that stamina that
Well, I think they made it easier on him by getting Buddy Hield. Now he's just got a jab step towards the hoop, draw 3 defenders, and then whip it back to Hield for an open 3.
Well, needless to say, the NBA has changed because we were looking for physically big guys years ago. Now guys can at 6'8". We don't have problem playing like the Giannis's and the Embiids of the world.
No.
Oh, right. You need the athleticism to go with. Hey, Professor, how are you?
Professor, we're talking about the NBA and the acquisitions made by the Celtics. What was the Memphis Grizzlies guy's name?
Tillman. Xavier
Tillman.
Tillman. Yeah. 2 great defensive players, like true fierce defenders, which is perfect.
Right.
Perfect.
The Celtics had, their big men were all pretty willowy in KP and Cornette. Yeah, I mean, Al, they're not really, heavyweight fighters in there.
They're not stout. Yeah, they're not stout. And these guys are, the big guy is stout, and this guy Springer, he's a menace. Like he's not going to play a lot, but he's exactly the guy who I was hoping they'd get when Tyrese Maxey or Garland or Dame starts going off, and you just send that guy out to smother the guy for 5 minutes and just disconcert them.
Just stick to him like glue, torture him.
Like glue. It doesn't matter. He's not going to score. He can take 6 fouls if he needs to.
Especially in the second half when they're tired.
I'm sure we've all played men's league or something like that at some point. Didn't you hate it when the guy who had you just stuck to you? Like you went to the bench, he sat down next to you. You know what I mean? You're like, leave me alone. Give me a foot of space.
These NBA point guards don't like to be taken full court. They don't like that at all. So a guy like him that Springer knows he's going to play 3-4 minutes, he can be in the guy's face and exhaust these players, like you said, like the Maxis of the world.
Just provide some resistance at the perimeter and make their lives difficult. And I've on the Philly games I've watched this year, he's come into 3 or 4 of them. He came into a preseason game and just fouled everything up. He was blocking shots, diving on the floor. He's not going to play a lot. It's just really nice to have that on the bench.
Now, my question is, why would they give him up, Russ?
There's all sorts of specific budgetary reasons. Basically, they're trying to clear as much cap space as they can, and he's signed for next year because they're trying to get 2 max slots. And I think they want to be active in the buyout market, and they wanted to have as much money as possible to be able to get a buyout guys. So
they couldn't find somebody else other than to help the Celtics in a spot that we needed.
Crazy.
And he fit the bill.
The other team they helped, Timmy, is they sent Patrick Beverley to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Right.
I don't know what the hell they're doing.
2 of their biggest competitors. They
Yeah, I was shocked. I was just mentioning to Timmy and Joe, Russ, I was shocked when it was Sixers that we were making a deal. That just shows you Brad doesn't
Me
care.
too.
He's a mad scientist. He's gonna call everybody. He doesn't. He's got his plan. Doesn't really care what you're doing as long
You
as you.
wonder,
Yep.
you wonder how that deal started. You know, who called who?
A lot of guys
bet-
in the league don't like Daryl Morey, so calling him,
Yeah, right.
I bet you Maury called them. They all know what everyone's looking for. And Brad probably
Yeah.
said, I'm looking for a really defensively minded guard who doesn't make a lot of money. And there were only like 3 or 4 of them in the league.
And
And
the
this
kid's
guy's one of them.
21 years old. I mean, he's
21 years old. I have friends from Philly who are just beside themselves that they traded Springer. They literally couldn't believe it. This was like, they're saying things to me on text like, there's no viable explanation for this. You pick a guy in the first round, know he's going to be a project. You invest 2 to 3 years in him. He finally starts to show some promise, and you ditch him to your number 1 rival.
yeah.
And he's going to be torturing Maxey, right?
That's what one of the guys said to me, Timmy. He's like, I can't wait for him to be chasing Maxey all over the court in the
because
second
now
round
he
of the
knows
playoffs.
Maxey from practice, all these years.
But also, if you remember when the Sixers played the Celtics, he played really well. One of the games this year, I made
He
real
did.
well. Scored 7 points. Was tough on defense. I mean, it was kind of a tryout right there and an audition.
Yep.
And we know that to be true. A lot of these guys that we've acquired in the past in all sports played well against our team, and that's
Yep.
where they stood out. And Springer did. In the
Cal Crawford.
buyout, in the buyout, they have one more spot. Does my guy KQ get that final 15th spot?
I think
Or
they have 15 now, don't they?
Oh,
No,
no.
they traded traded Delano Banton to stay at 14. So it could be, I think it's going to be either one of your guys, Scotty. It's either going to be him or Jordan Walsh, I would think.
No,
I think they
no.
want to hang on to Walsh where he's
No. They can sign him to the 15th spot, meaning they could bring Walsh up for the 15th
Yeah.
spot just as
Yeah.
Does
easily
Walsh
as they
have,
could bring.
Walsh have a
Tatum.
two-way contract right now?
Yeah, he's on a 2-way.
they
I
might
thought
want to
Blanton-
put Tatum back down where they've got enough big men right now with the addition of
I don't
Tatum.
know.
Well, guys, I have to be
Or
honest.
they may get
I
a-
thought Blanton and Stevens were the same person.
I
Right?
got to
You
be
didn't
honest with
see
you
them
guys.
much, that's for sure.
I got to be honest. I didn't know they were on the Celtics.
I was like, wait, they didn't get rid of the guy I really like, which is Brissett, because I bunched all 3 of those guys together. They they looked alike.
That's so funny.
Well, I know Walsh because of he looks like a blind, a bald albino out there when he's out there on the court. So,
Well, Joe, you talked about it all the time, that horrendous bench that we had a few years ago with the Carson Edwards and the Trey Waters. I mean, the bench that Brad has created for Joe Mazzulla is as solid as I've seen since, I don't know, 2008.
yeah. Oh, easily so. Danny just collected his 2nd round picks that no one would take off him and put them all on the bench, and it was cheap. That way, he returned a good penny to the owners. That's the general manager's number 1 job, make money for the owners.
Now, guys, it's getting a little tiring. I mean, look, the key to the Celtics winning a championship is no question is 2 letters KP. I mean, there's no question if Porzingis stays healthy that they have to be the favorite. But the guy literally almost every game gets hurt. How do you put him on ice? How can you keep this guy?
I would push back against that, Scotty. I mean, yeah, he twisted his ankle. He's had a couple of injuries, but most of the games he's missed, he's missed because of just maintenance. I don't think he's been injury prone this year. He rolled an ankle. Like that happens to everybody. Could happen to a 6'1" guy. He rolled his ankle when he stepped on somebody else's foot. You see that happen every night in the NBA.
You know what, though, Scotty? For your point, he reminds me of a giraffe just waiting to break its leg. To hit a pothole in the tundra or something, and snap a fibia. I mean, he just looks so breakable. That's one of the things. He looks breakable.
He does.
I'm more worried about Tatum. It's been Tatum that has gone AWOL when they got a long way in, and he just ran out of gas. I can think of 3 different season-ending series. One of them being Golden State, where he was almost a non-participant.
But
Well, Missoula
don't
has,
you feel like this though? Don't you feel Brad has looked at all of this stuff and has like a master plan in place to try to alleviate some of those issues going forward?
I
well,
think
it's really,
that was the design in having this deep bench
Look,
that they could get away
all you
with
can
that.
do is what they're doing. Like they're
Yeah.
managing this as best they can. They're not playing KP or Al on back to backs. They're basically rotating a guy off, one of the top 6 guys, and giving him a game off every night.
yeah.
You know how many times the starting 5 has played in a game together this year? 25 games, basically half the games, because they're just rotating. You know, Holiday took the other night off. Holiday's fine. He's like an injured elbow. He's an owie on his elbow, but they sat him and they're just sitting a guy every. Tatum's questionable for tomorrow night. They're getting Tatum a rest.
Oh yeah, this was a chart they did, a flow chart they did before the season started.
Totally.
They literally
Oh.
named the games that these guys were going to sit out. I mean, hey, look, also injury prone Jaylen Brown has managed very well this year. Remember, he used to his natural inclination was to take 20 to 30 games off too. He wasn't a big 82
Now
game guy.
I'm gonna throw a little. You know what's disappointing? I mean, as a fan and someone who goes to the games, like that Lakers game, people are paying a fortune to go to these games to see the superstars in the NBA. And there's so many games where the stars aren't playing. I mean, from a fan perspective, it can be, you pay top dollar to get into these games, and half the freaking teams aren't out there. It can be very fun. You go to a game and JT's not playing, or Brown's not playing, and you're going to watch.
Yeah, but
play.
Yeah, no, you're right, Timmy. In fact, that's why the NBA changed the rules this year, and they're saying guys need to play 65 games if they're going to be on the All NBA team or get an award. So they're trying to affect it, but
And that's
the beginning of this conversation. But the beginning of this conversation was we have to protect KP at all costs.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways, right?
I exactly. I'm a fan. When I go to a game, I want to see all the stars out there.
Of course you do.
But
you pay good money for those tickets.
As a Boston fan, I want us to rest our guys. But I mean, it is very upsetting. You go excited to see somebody play, like all those people that pay top dollar to watch the Lakers play, and Anthony Davis and LeBron didn't play for no good reason either. They were probably both healthy.
Well, Davis was hurt, but LeBron was taking a maintenance day.
Look, the NBA is just too long of a season when you count the playoffs and the exhibition. These guys are too big.
It's 100 games if you make it all the way.
Look, these guys are physical freaks. It's remarkable what they do on a night-to-night basis. How can you even have back-to-back games with these poor guys? So it's understandable that they have to rest, for sure. I mean, we're talking about guys 6'8", 6'9". They're freaks of nature.
As of last week, before this stretch lightened up, the Celtics had played 15 games in 26 days.
Yeah, including
15
travel.
games in 26 days, including travel. That's stupid.
And practice. They have shoot-arounds and they do this and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys they're gonna have stress fractures. They're gonna they can't do it. I mean, it's too hard. And we talk about the NFL and their expanded season. NBA has a problem too, Timmy. You make a great point.
Yeah, I tell you, just playing college hockey, we had a fifth of these games, and your body was beat to shit by the end of the season.
Yep.
Everything hurt.
Hey, one other thing we can say about the Celtics and their owners is they're not cheaping out.
No.
They could have tried to drop, if they had dropped $5.5 million from their payroll, it would have gotten them under the second apron. It would have saved them tens of millions of dollars, and they didn't.
No,
really.
And they could have. They could have dumped 3 guys.
Hats off to work.
Yeah,
they could have
How
dumped
would you
3
like
guys.
to be Golden State? What are they paying? $400 million in payroll and taxes this year?
But Wick's smart. He knows. Everybody's talking about their cheapy Red Sox owners. He's taking advantage of this right now. The guy's got plenty of dough. He wants to be the number one owner in this town. He has a chance if they win a title. Would you agree?
Oh, isn't he a business partner with them on the SSG?
Yeah, he is.
He's a business partner with that.
I think Wick recognizes he's got this core here that can go a while. this could go for a while with Brown and Tatum as your core. You can continually just put the pieces in around
He'll
those
have
two.
to pay a lot of money because he'll be over the second apron. Tatum is going to get $50 million next year.
Oh, it's costing these guys an absolute fortune.
Yeah.
Look,
Massive.
he's not going to do
He'll be in the
shit.
same boat that Golden State's been in the last half dozen years.
He's not going to do shit if they don't win a title. I mean, at some point.
Right. You're right. You're
I
right.
mean, you know, I mean, he's at some point he's only going to go to the well so much. They need, and Brad has all the resources. This has to be the year, to be honest with you. They have to get their first one now, and then they could buy themselves 3 years of a grace period if they get this one. Would you agree?
Oh
Yeah,
my
but it's
God,
not gonna
years
be
and
easy.
years. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So this is such an important year. Who do you guys worry about coming out of the East now with all the acquisitions and with teams like the Knicks playing really well?
The Knicks.
The
The
Knicks
Knicks,
now,
Joe?
probably. Yeah.
Thibodeau's got them as the number one defensive team in the NBA. And you had a guy like Bogdanovich that was their problem last year. They had no offense when it came to the playoffs. Once people, tightened up, the Knicks couldn't score last year. Now they've added a couple of guys in Anunoby and Bogdanovich that can score on their own. So that might change.
And Russell, he gives Celtics problems, Bogdanovich.
Yeah, he has. They're going to be tough. They're very deep. They got like 10 players deep, and they're full of tough guys. And now they just added good shooting. They're going to be a problem. The one thing though about Tibbs as the coach, though, he grinds these son of a butt bitches into the ground. I watched him play Jalen Brunson 42 minutes the other night.
Yeah.
In a normal regular season game, and by the end of it, Brunson couldn't jump on his jump shots anymore. He was trash in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I believe it when I see it.
Timmy, as we know,
Miami is always my worry.
even still, well, I mean, they didn't make
I don't know.
any big
Butler just seems to have our number. I don't know why.
You think Tillman is for Butler too?
No, I don't think he's the type to cover Butler.
No, he's not. Yeah, no, he's not. He's not quick enough. He's not a Butler guy, but he's a Giannis guy.
Did Springer take Butler?
Maybe. Look, they've got guys who I think Brown and Tatum and Holiday are the Butler guys. Yeah,
they can all take turns in there.
Having Porzingis, 7'3" in the middle doesn't hurt.
No.
Oh yeah, to me doesn't bother me anymore now that we have KP, because I think like we talked about in the last few weeks, and Russ brought that up. He's a zone breaker, and that's
my God, yeah, absolutely.
Put him on the block. Al just won't do that. He can't do that.
Yeah. Oh, shout out before we go away from the Celtics, Al Horford.
And what is he? 39 now?
39.
He's just the best. No, is this his last year in his current deal?
No,
maybe not. No, he's got a contract for next year.
No, he's got a very reasonable second year of a very reasonable deal next year. The guy who's up is Holiday. He's an unrestricted free agent, but the Celtics have his bird rights. And then White has another year, but they could extend him in this offseason, but he's under contract for another year.
I think White's going to go out and get his money.
Well, he's already
he can
a couple offers from the Celtics.
Remember, the Celtics can pay him more than anyone. That's the
he's
fact. And normally those guys resign with their teams. So I think he's pretty happy here.
And I've heard Wick say that everybody goes up to him and says, when are you going to re-sign Holiday? So if he said that in that kind of little story, I'm pretty guaranteed that.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they have like a wink deal with Holiday where they do what they did with Horford. He opts out, they pay him longer, but less per year.
Yeah, they give him an extra year that he doesn't deserve.
Yeah, even extra 2 years. Sign him for 3 or 4 years, but drop the money. You could still trade that contract.
More credit to Brad Stevens for locking up KP long term too when he made that deal. I mean, KP in the market would be getting a lot more than he signed. Would you agree?
Oh, big men.
Is he a max guy? Do you think?
No, well, No, but he didn't
No,
get
he
No,
didn't
but
sign for a max.
could he have been a max guy?
If he had come off of a great healthy year, Timmy, this year, he could have pushed
Sure.
at some teams. Yeah.
somebody would have given him that. Absolutely.
But he also knows there's a risk, right? Like the other reason why he signed for a longer term contract for below market is he knows he's an injury risk.
Also, Russ, I think he likes having a massive amount of support around him where he's not
For sure.
the guy, you know, like he's not the
Yeah, it's not all on his shoulders.
on the board. You
Yep.
know what I mean? He's the third name
Yep.
on the board. I think he enjoys that.
Yeah, great point. He's one of the happiest guys I've ever seen play for any of our Boston teams.
Yeah, he's really happy.
He's, I mean, he cannot hide how much fun he's having.
Except for my main man Marcus.
Look, even Marcus, I wanted to mention this to me. Marcus, in his press conference, said he's a businessman and he would have made that deal.
He would have made the trade.
I'll tell you what. Marcus could not have handled that return any better than he.
Oh, I agree.
No,
I love the
he's
guy
great.
to his soul, to his core. He's a class act.
He really is very articulate. He has grown since he came here so raw. I mean, the guy really is. He's got it all together.
Like that.
I would
he's a good
suggest that
dude.
he's probably going to end up a head coach somewhere in the NBA.
Well, I would not be surprised at all if he ends. He'll be back in the Celtics uniform in 2 to 3 years, and
Yeah.
he's a perfect guy to bring back for a couple years. Grizzled veteran, plays 10 minutes a
culture
game.
reasons.
Absolutely, he'll be back.
And
No
he'll
doubt.
ultimately be the head coach of the Boston Celtics.
Like MLK.
Just like Jason Varitek is
But
going
that's
to be the
happening
coach of the Red
next
Sox.
year. That's happening. I'm going to take so many victories.
They're collecting material as we speak.
You've been saying this for 10 years.
Oh my
Not
God!
10, but
I mean,
I've definitely been saying it for quite a
They're
while.
making a deal with a fabric manufacturer in Asia right now for the uniform. That's the only holding point right now.
oh, Timmy,
It's going to happen. Looking
not nice. Funny, but not nice.
Let's go to the Boston Red Sox. Look, we had Sam Kennedy on this show. We appreciate it. It was a wonderful time at Fenway Park, and we owe him a debt of gratitude for that moment. And he was great. He's been a great supporter of the Grandstanders from Brookline. So I'm always hesitant to criticize him too much. But
Did you say Theo? Did you say
no, Sam Kennedy?
Yeah.
But the fact is that Sam Kennedy needs to stop talking.
Well, don't you think John Henry realized that and got him a boss? Theo's his boss.
No,
now.
but did you hear what he said? He
said, "Oh, he's not my boss."
No, then he said a couple of days ago that this is just a temporary stop for Theo,
On it.
and he started like demeaning the hire altogether. I don't understand what's going on over there.
Because he doesn't like having a boss. He thought he was in charge. Now he's not.
Russell, what's happening over at the Fenway Park? I've never seen such a disorganized management team.
Yeah, they can't really get on the same message or stay in the same message. And Breslow is like an invisible man. It's amazing how unavailable he's been, publicly. And I think I had heard that they really wanted Theo back to take the big job. They couldn't get him. And I think this was the next best thing. They knew they needed some eye candy for us. They knew they needed to bring someone in who could raise the hopes of people. So they gave up a little bit of their ownership, and they get to bring him in, and he gets to pick and choose what he wants to do. But I'm sure he's going to be involved in the Red Sox.
Okay, this is what I heard a few days ago. Maybe even Kennedy said it, that Epstein bought in.
Yeah,
no, what they
how
offered
much?
the
No, he bought in to ownership. He did not. It was
although he could have bought in and they matched it. Like, it could have bought in like, here's $500,000 and you get about $10 million of equity or whatever the hell it is, right?
Yeah. Timmy, Russ makes a great point. Craig Breslow, where is he? I don't understand why.
He's meaningless at this point, right? I mean, you know what's kind of funny about the Red Sox? It went from the general manager being the guy, right? When Theo was here, he was the guy, right? He was the face of the organization.
Yeah.
Brian O'Halloran was the general manager last year. Did you see his name twice in the paper last year? Right,
Yeah.
it was Heim. So they bumped that position up once. So the general manager's been eliminated. Then it became the head of the baseball operations, which was Heim last year, right? And now they've got the new guy, and now that position has almost been eliminated. Like he doesn't exist now. The Theo's there. It seems like.
Now I'm really questioning the Heim Bloom firing because Heim Bloom at least was getting used to the media. He was being accessible. He was taking accountability. He was kind of protecting Henry and Warner to some level. And now you get rid of him. And now Breslow, right? He's where's Waldo?
Well, I think what's happened is Heim suffered from, he had no access to management, to the ownership, should I say. No access to ownership to get them to okay deals. Sam and the Seven Dwarfs stood between them. Now with Theo there, Breslow is going to have some way of accessing ownership and go over Sam and all the vice presidents' heads.
I could see Heim last year.
It could work better this way.
I could see Heim last year trying to like put a deal together and be calling out to LA, while what's his name's in the middle of making a movie, or calling John Henry and his yacht off of Barbados, while he's trying to figure out a deal how to do something else, whether it be commodities or his English team or his hockey team or whatever. And they had to do something. I mean, it was a brilliant move bringing Theo into the fold, I think.
Yeah, but that was really that was 48 hours.
Well, a lot of it's public relations. You're right, Scotty.
I know, but that had no legs to it whatsoever. And then all of a sudden they're coming out and saying, okay, maybe we did not focus on the team of the last few years. I mean, I don't understand any of this. Everybody has a different message. And now all of a sudden they're going to do a Netflix. You shared that, Russ. They're going to do a Netflix documentary series on the 2024 last place Red Sox.
Yeah, it's going to be hard knocks for the Red Sox. I'm just like, why would they do that to themselves? It's going to be miserable. People are going to be booing this team off the field.
God. And they don't have, any like marketable personalities on that team, Hard Knocks thrives on that kind of thing.
Yeah, but you're right. And why would Cora? Okay, apparently Cora.
Well, he'll be the strongest character.
But he wanted to. He signed off. He really wanted it, and some of the Red Sox management did not. But Cora wanted it big time. Is this for him to get his?
You know what this reminds me of? There's a house on the street where you hear loud noises coming from the house all the time, and you see broken windows, and the cops there all the time. And all of a sudden says, "Oh, we've had cameras in there for the last 2 years, and we're going to show everybody now what happened." Why would they ever in a million years let that dirty laundry get out there?
Last place teams are not interesting. I don't even know why Netflix would pick the.
I don't care if it's a little league team. Last place teams suck to be on.
Yeah, right.
Well, usually first place teams tell them to go take a hike. You're not filming us.
Oh, this could be the most interesting season as far as just mud. And this could be ugly. This could be actually kind of fun to watch at some point. Just watching.
I mean, imagine signing up for a Hard Knocks Netflix series and then going out and leaving your pitching staff bereft.
Yeah.
It's just like signing up to be hammered night in and night out. I don't understand why they would have done that.
But also,
it might be 3 bullpen games a week.
We talk about this a lot. Your star player does not speak English. So he's out of this Netflix series completely. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? Putting the pressure on everyone else to answer questions. It's bizarre. I mean, this is.
Steve Casas must have heard about it. That's why he's putting his hair in cornrows.
I know people from Brazil that clean office buildings have been here for 3 years, came here not knowing a word of English, that now speak fluent English.
Yeah. Look, Russ, you've stayed quiet a lot of times when I've mentioned Denver. You not understand? What do you think? Is it important for the star player to speak English?
I think it hurts him I think it hurts the Red Sox. And it doesn't, it doesn't lead to a lot of additional excitement, right? That's a problem.
Because they used to say about Manny Ramirez that he wouldn't talk to the press, and a lot of people ragged on him and said, Manny, if you don't talk to the press, everyone else has to answer the questions about you,
Yeah.
and you're putting all the impetus on your team to have to answer questions, and that's not fair. Is Devers doing the same thing?
Well,
maybe not for the same reasons.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't get himself into hot water. His problem is he's just quiet. Like you just don't hear from him, right? It's not like with Manny, it was just, he was always making someone apologize for him. And look, like it wouldn't be a problem if he was at the peak of his, performance, but he wasn't last year. And that's when this becomes a problem.
Yeah, the subpar year, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Look, they still have a chance to salvage the offseason, an offseason for which they are worse by far than they were when the last game of the season ended.
Yeah, but are those two pitchers left out there, are they going to be
Montgomery? No, I'm talking about Montgomery and Soler. If they were,
I'm not so sure about Montgomery.
Oh, I think Montgomery's a good pitcher, and
he's a solid pitcher. Yeah, he's not.
He'd be the best pitcher in the Red Sox
starter.
Joe.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, right now I'm sure you're right.
So, and all we have to do is give up money. I don't think that Snell, they have that great of interest in Snell, and I can kind of understand about that. But if they go out and get Montgomery and they sign a Soler to be DH, are you happy with the offseason all of a sudden?
It improves things.
No, I mean, I want a pitcher.
Yes.
I have to have a pitcher.
I'm saying, if you get Montgomery, are you happy?
Yeah, I think it's somewhat salvaged. Yeah, I mean, I wanted a net two. That would at least get us net one. I'm happy they got rid of Sale, that we don't have to look at him anymore. But it's the minimum they could have done, Scotty, is to bring in.
When we went to this offseason, I deep down in my heart was going to take a huge run at Ohtani. And if not the other Japanese pitcher, I said, if we don't get Ohtani, at the minimum, we're getting that other guy. And they weren't even in the round.
But no, those were fixed. Those were bag jobs. Those guys were going to LA no matter what. I got no problem with that. Those guys weren't.
I don't mind that. The Japanese guys prefer the West Coast, and they prefer Southern California.
Okay, but I thought because they had spent so little money that they were priming themselves for a move similar to that.
Yeah,
they could still make that move too. I mean, they could sign a Snell in Montgomery. They could sign both of them. I mean, these guys are unsigned and spring training has started.
And in the old days, they would have.
Look, I'm just going to throw this one thing out. Adam Ottavino, if you remember, the Red Sox in 21, actually pitched pretty well and then kind of faded at the end. And he had a $6.75 million option with the Mets this year. He declined, thinking he was going to make more. He signed with the Mets for like $4.5 million a few weeks ago. Totally misread the market.
Shades of Jason Veritek.
Literally went to the same team for less money than he could have. Are maybe guys like Snell and Montgomery misreading the market?
Maybe. Look, if I were them, I think it's like the biggest no-brainer of all time. Go out and sign Montgomery. It will give us a little bit of like bounce in our step, and and then just live. If it's a bad contract, live with it. There's no freaking there's no salary cap in baseball.
Russ, what do you think it takes to get him right now?
Okay. Oh, I don't know. But to Scotty's point, I guess the question is does $20 million a year for 4 years do it? I don't know. Somewhere
this is the thing, and you've talked about this, Russ, with Ohtani. I think you could probably sign one of them long term, and then one of them short term, who might want to go back into the market in a year from now. So you could get both of them, and as far as your commitment may be limited. But I think you sign Montgomery long term and see if a Snell might do a 2-year, $60 million deal.
Maybe that'd be fantastic.
Because one of those guys feels like this is,
They're probably not
chairs.
both gonna come.
One of these
come up.
guys seems to be without a chair at this point, because I can't believe all of a sudden we're going to see an announcement the next week of these guys get 2 big deals. And then Bellinger's out there too. I don't know what he's doing. And then guys like Chapman. This is very strange. I think there's going to be some guys who thought they were going to get big money who are going to be on short-term deals.
Yeah.
No,
Look, I hope you're right, Scotty. And maybe Theo says, guys, cut the shit. Like, let's just go. The pitching staff is for crap. Let's just go sign a starter, right? Who can give us 160 innings. He's a durable guy.
Now, do you think as we're sitting here, Theo is paying attention to that?
Yeah, I'm sure he's not concerning himself with the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Theo Epstein is from down the street. Theo Epstein loves the Red Sox just as much as we do. Theo Epstein now gets to control the Red Sox as much as he wants to. Of course, Theo Epstein and Craig Breslow are literally dating right now. They're inseparable. Of course, Theo has a huge list of things he wants Craig to do.
I hope so.
Russell, would you agree?
Yes, I totally. If Breslow has a brain in his head, and he clearly does, he's picking Theo's brain and he's using Theo to go get stuff from the owners that he wants.
Do you think Breslow
Theo's the access to ownership that he needs that Heim didn't have?
He can use the leverage with Theo now.
That's right, Timmy. He's got someone who's got the owner's ear, right? And Theo's not going to have any more sort of truck than he does now.
Well, okay. Look in your crystal ball. Will Theo Epstein be part of an ownership group? Ultimately, that will own the Boston Red Sox.
No, I think he's going to move on to his own team. I think Kennedy made it pretty clear the other day that some point in time when MLB expands, it sounds to me like what Theo really wants to do is become an owner of a expansion team. Yeah.
Can you put a B in front of Theo right now though? A billionaire? I don't think he has that kind of bread.
No.
He would be part of a consortium.
No, he'd be the front man. He'd be the front man like Michael Jordan was, right?
Yeah, no.
Michael Jordan had a lot different money than Theo does, though.
Nobody's giving him more than 10% of any club right now. They'll say president, and you get 10%, and that's it. These guys aren't investing billions of dollars and giving Theo, big bucks unless he's bringing stuff in. He wants to be part owner, and he wants to run the expansion club, right?
Yeah, that's what he wants. He wants to build something from the ground up. He's only going to be able to make marginal improvements to the Red Sox. That's a no-win job for him. But he comes in, they do some good stuff. Maybe the Red Sox play a little bit better. It's another feather in his cap. He doesn't need positive affirmation at this point. He's going to the Hall of Fame. It's the first ballot.
It's certainly another reclamation project, and that's what he's famous for, right?
Well, absolutely. I thought maybe that he'd become commissioner of baseball. I guess that's not his plan.
I think if it was offered to him, he would jump at the opportunity.
I don't
know. How could he? How could he say no to that? That's like
that's a piece of crap job, though.
No one likes
job. You got to deal with all these stupid owners. Like he wants to own a friend. He wants a meaningful ownership of a franchise.
Where do you think they could expand? Baseball could expand and be successful, though.
Vegas?
That's a great question.
Yeah, they're going to A's are going to Vegas, right? So that takes Vegas off the list.
Seattle wouldn't let Vancouver go.
They could try.
Montreal is no doubt going to be in the next expansion sort of step.
Well, I always talk about, because Adrian's from there, Norfolk, Virginia Beach has always been to there, and
something else in the South. Another southern team.
But that would be in Washington, D.C. and the Orioles territories, wouldn't it?
No, too far.
That's pretty far.
Washington, D.C., though.
No, over 75 miles.
To North Carolina?
No, North Carolina. No, Norfolk, Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia Beach.
I was stationed in Yorktown, Virginia, which is right near Norfolk, and that was quite a hike to DC from there.
No, he's talking about would DC have the rights to block it?
You have certain territorial rights, Tim.
Yeah, but Virginia's pretty far, Joe, from DC,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
But this is breaking news from the Grandstanders live desk. Apparently, which I found very interesting. So the Orioles have control of the Nationals' TV rights, and because that's what the deal they made to allow the Nationals to move from Montreal to Washington. In the agreement, the commissioner of baseball is trying to, in this sale, strip the Orioles of their TV rights with the Nationals.
And give it back to the Nationals?
Give it back to them, which I found
interesting.
very interesting. Yeah.
Well, they would have to write a big old check to the Orioles, I would imagine, to do that, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know how it works, but so maybe that's in anticipation somewhat of trying to get Norfolk and Virginia Beach, because obviously, both the DC and the Baltimore market would not be happy with that, probably. But
the only reason the Orioles give that up, I mean, they don't have to give it up, right? I mean, it's like a contract that was written. You can't go breaking contracts. You would have to compensate.
No, but the Orioles were sold to this Rubenstein for a very low amount. I know they don't own Camden.
Wasn't it like 1.5?
Yeah, it wasn't a lot of money. Yeah, it wasn't.
People were shocked by it.
Do they? Oh, they don't own Camden Yards.
They do not.
They don't own the stadium.
The state of Maryland owns that. But still shocked by that. And I got to think that was anticipation of the fact that they would no longer have control of the Nationals network, which has to be quite lucrative, you would imagine, right?
Yeah.
But very interesting what's going on. I don't think the baseball should expand for a lot of reasons, including there's not enough good players.
Yeah, I'd be
especially
much more interested in them like moving Tampa to Montreal. Like that would be a way better. That'd be a much smarter move. If the Tampa can't get a better stadium than that, then move them to Montreal.
Yeah. There's a lot of teams right now in the major leagues. I don't know what they're doing there anyways. All right, we got to go to
how do the Marlins do? They don't do well filling that stadium.
Maybe no,
they don't draw well at all.
But look at the Athletics. They started in Philly, then they went to Kansas City, then they went to Oakland. Now they're going to Vegas. I mean,
the Orioles haven't drawn well. I know they've had a lot of.
They were the St. Louis Browns.
Orioles haven't drawn well for a long time. Even in this season that they went to the playoffs, only at the end did they start selling out games. So it's questionable how good of a market Baltimore is baseball wise anymore. But
Scotty, they lost. They were in last place for freaking. It seemed like decades. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
Well, I remember when the Robinson boys were there.
Oh my God!
They couldn't sell out playoff games even then.
Really? I always thought that Baltimore market was red hot.
No. And now DC hurt them a lot because as a person who lived
the Senators were then.
I used to have season tickets to the Orioles because I wanted to see baseball. But the moment Nationals came, a lot of guys from DC never went to the Orioles games again.
Yeah, I mean, when that park was new and it was exciting and stuff, they drew a lot. But they also, there's a lot of out of town fans, a lot of Red Sox fans go to that park, a lot of Yankees fans,
Yeah,
when those teams are in town.
Yeah, they totally catered to the Red Sox fans for many, many years. It was actually kind of embarrassing. All right, we got to go
now Fenway's kind of becoming like that. They fill it without a time.
Oh, I'll tell you, Section 30 is always seems to be filled with.
We spent a lot of time on the Red Sox just then. Holy smokes, for a team that's done nothing.
I know, but I love them so much.
So we throw him a bone with the Bruins playing right now.
All right, we got to go to the Patriots. Look, I gotta believe they're gonna pick a quarterback in 3, but this Elliott Wolf apparently is running the team, and lots of rumors that he may not be interested in picking the quarterback in number 3. You think it's a lot of smoke?
I hope. I don't know though. I hope not, because as we've seen, a lot of these quarterbacks that have been going high have completely fizzled. Like, if I'm picking one of those guys, if I'm going to pass on Marvin Harrison, I have to be completely sold on one of those guys that they can come up to the next level and succeed. If I'm going to leave Marvin Harrison sitting there.
And just look at last year when Arizona had the number 3, and they traded back and got 3 first-round draft picks, including 12 and 32 last year, and this year's first-round draft pick coming, and a third. That you might have decided that the quarterback you want can be picked up late in the first round.
So let me give you the good news, though. The good news is that the one position the Patriots have done very well drafting over the last 20 years is quarterback. Most of the guys they've picked had kicked around in the league for a while. They've had useful quarterbacks. Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo had a good career. Like, you go around and they know how to pick quarterbacks. If I'm more on Scotty's team on this one. I would be shocked if they didn't pick a quarterback, but if they don't pick the quarterback, they must really know, to Timmy's point, that that's not their guy.
But if you
I think they will.
Daniel, if they think Daniels or May
They're picking
aren't
him.
going to be NFL quarterbacks, trade back or grab Harrison at 3 if you'd like.
But if you think Williams is the guy, again, you have the 3rd pick in the draft. You have a lot.
You could move
already.
up. That's 3 first-round picks minimum.
I don't know if you need to do that, to be honest with you, to move up 2 spots, but whatever you got to do within reason, I think you do. And if you want to if you think he's a generational quarterback, then you have to go for it. I mean, why not?
Believe that, if you truly believe that.
Yeah.
Williams is so hard to evaluate because he spends so much time extending plays. You don't know if he'll be able to do. You can't do that in the NFL. And will he be able to get rid of the ball quickly?
Well, that's what Mahomes does. He extends plays.
Yeah, but when a decision has to be made, he makes it.
Here's the thing. I don't feel even remotely qualified to say that any one of these guys is going to pass Timmy's test, or that any one of them is so much better than the others. Like, there's so much that goes into that evaluation, and they haven't even done any pro days yet. So this is one of those where, they're going to end up with a great player, I'm assuming, with this pick. You've got to assume, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we already know generally who's the guy who's going to be picked. We already know of him.
Yeah.
I mean,
they might have someone that they like, and they can get them at 12, 13, 14.
No, I don't want them to go to 12, 13, 14, though, Joe. Jesus. If we go down, maybe 3 slots or something.
Yeah.
12, 13, 14.
Wouldn't you get the same guy at 6 as at 12?
That's the old Belichick thing. And the answer to that question more often than not is no, you don't.
I would say
who would be the 4th guy that would come in that would go that low?
Joe, I would say after 15, maybe after 10, yes. But I think these guys in the top 10, I mean, Gonzalez should have been a top 10 guy. Yeah. But those guys, they're like different animals, kind of,
You can't fuck around with that. You can't play those little games.
Yeah, they're premier athletes. But like Russ has pointed out, only 50% of the quarterbacks picked in the top 5 hit. Only 33% of the quarterbacks picked in the first round hit and stick in the NFL. Only a third.
Right.
1 out of 3.
That offensive lineman that's way up at the top there, he seems like he'd be sitting on your offensive line for the next 15 years.
I don't want any part of that crap. That's what the Jets did.
Really, Scotty? I don't know.
You got to get a tackle sooner or later.
No.
Yeah, I mean, here's my deal. If they don't, I don't know. We haven't even covered this, Scotty. If they decide, look, if Daniels is there and he's not the guy, or if May drops and they don't think he's the guy, they got to take Marvin Harrison at that point. I do not want to take a left tackle. I hear everybody, but get somebody that you're never going to have a chance to get again, because they're not going to have the 3rd pick again.
No, absolutely. You got to get a stud.
Yeah. I am 100% with you, Scotty.
And everybody thinks
neither of those left tackles are rated as a can't miss, a Joe Thomas.
No, those guys get rolled over.
They're
just going to get rolled over.
And Marvin Harrison is rated as a can't miss.
Look, the chances of a left tackle getting injured compared to a wide receiver is so much
nil.
greater. Those guys are getting rolled over all the time. It's every play they almost get.
And I'd be okay with them bringing in, that a serviceable veteran quarterback if we get Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, if they decide that the guy sitting there for them isn't great, then draft Marvin Harrison and bring in Brissett or one of these guys for a year and
Baker
whatever,
Mayfield,
take your shot. Yeah, pick 3 quarterbacks in the later rounds. I don't know.
Yeah, do something right, but get a guarantee as much as you possibly.
JJ.
Yeah,
from
get
Michigan.
a guy that's going to be on your team for the next 10 years.
JJ from Michigan.
Yeah, right, Timmy. Like if they think JJ McCarthy's good, then trade back into the first round and take him late in the first round.
Right, exactly. Yeah, right. Because remember, when you have the 3rd pick in the draft, you also have the 3rd pick in every other round.
So, exactly right.
It's almost like another first round pick being the 35th.
Yeah. And
We,
again,
we sound like Jets fans right now.
but again, the
You've been
Patriots
saying that, Tim.
Patriots aren't going to be very good next year. They're just not going to be. So their future picks are very appealing to teams too. So you have maybe they will be good, but generally, like, okay, a 2nd round pick next year from the Patriots is going to be one of the top probably 10 of those. So they have a lot. Look, but they can't mess up. This is can't mess up territory.
Now I got to ask you a question: would Marvin Harrison be the least chance of messing up?
Yes, he's the best player.
So.
Apparently, he's the best player in the draft.
In the draft,
yeah,
that's what they're saying.
And he would have gone number 1 last year. Apparently, he was. He got into the draft last year. He was going to be the best player in the draft too. That's how good this guy is. I've seen him play a little bit, but yeah. When would we ever had a real stud wide receiver? We had Randy Moss, and then I'm talking about a top wide receiver,
wide out, not like
not
Edelman or Welker.
No, but
they're as good as anybody.
Just Randy Moss at the kind of the tail end of his career, but that's it, right?
Stanley
Moore, Stingley.
Yeah, right, but not many guys.
Capoletti.
Yeah, he's the Tristan Casas of the Patriots. Greatest first baseman.
Cornrows.
I had the timer. How far in are we before the name was mentioned? Okay.
I thought we left the Red Sox behind 5 minutes ago, but evidently not.
Bruins are winning 3-0.
Before we go to the Bruins, Steve Young, I don't know if he was smoking or drinking, said that he thought Mac Jones was still a potential star quarterback in the NFL.
Well,
they must have the same agent.
Yeah. I don't know what he's basing that on.
Are we missing the boat on this at all? Or are we 100%? I'm 100% sure.
Well, even the present coaches want nothing to do with them.
Mac Jones needs to go into one of those life rehabilitation things that last about 18 months and get massive therapy, and then maybe show up back here.
Yeah,
Bruins
I think
Bruins 4-0.
I think the best he could do is be like the 25th best quarterback in the NFL and for some other team. I think that's what he could be.
So they're not going to keep him as a backup.
No, because they're not going to want to. If they keep him, they're going to have to pay him big bucks.
No, not this year, Joe.
Not this year.
This year.
The year after, they'd have to pay him like $30 million.
They're still on the hook.
They're not going to do that for a chump.
Cap-wise, they're still on the hook for him next year, right?
Yes, unless they get rid of him.
No matter what.
Yeah.
Unless they have offset language in his contract, but usually quarterbacks agents don't allow that.
Those first-round picks get pretty good contracts usually.
Well, all I want to say is we rooted so hard against the Patriots all season. If they were to trade back in that draft after how much time we spent rooting for that top 3 pick, I'd just be beside myself. All right, got to go to the Bruins.
Now, Scotty, what if they went and they gave the 3rd pick for the 7th and the 12th?
No, I want a top guy. No, because all of a sudden, no. We have a chance, like Russ said, and we've never had this chance since Bledsoe, to get a top star, a star player. And it's all about stars, and we have no stars right now. I'm sure Gonzo sounds great, but what did he play 3 games?
Yeah.
We don't
He
know.
was hardly, he has no national recognition. He's
Yeah, we
not-
don't even know if he's durable enough to play in the NFL. Let's get this done. Look, if
Oh,
would you all-
Judon has a national reputation.
would agree, we'd all be very happy with Marvin Harrison right now.
Yes, I
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah, that's a pretty good prize to start. All right,
I would be happy with
All
Marvin
right.
Harrison only if the scouts and everyone agrees that he is the best player available, not one of the quarterbacks.
okay, let's finish up quickly with the Bruins. It's trading deadline time. Are they going to do anything?
Nope.
A
I don't
little bit
think
here
they-
and there.
Bring
Nothing.
someone up from Providence like they just did this kid Richard, Anthony
Matt,
Richard.
the Poutois kid is out for the year.
Yeah, he's done
Yeah.
shoulder surgery.
Did they make a mistake? Did they rush him?
No, I don't think
No,
so.
no,
They needed him.
He looked like he belonged there for quite a while.
Physically, did he? I mean,
He's very small physically, very small.
Hey, he's 19, there's still a lot of room to grow in, weight training and the such. So
could he, if they had kept him in the minors or wherever he was, could they have?
You know, they
used
hit
him-
hard. They hit hard in the minors too, Scotty.
Could they have used him as trade bait?
they
Well, I
need
don't
the
know.
centers
No.
more than they need
I don't
trade
know.
bait.
Yeah, I don't know if we want. He's a cheap, good player. Why would you trade him? Right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to have him for a while, and he looks like he could be something. I mean, I don't know if I'd want to give him away.
Okay.
For enough, I don't know what bang for a buck you would have gotten a trade for him. We could always use a scorer. If there's a scorer out there, a guy who consistently puts numbers on the board, he doesn't have to be a hard hitter. He doesn't have to be a grinder. He doesn't have to be a defensive player. A guy who just knows how to put rebounds in and go 5-hole on the goalie. I don't know if there's any of those out there, and I don't know if we can afford them, but I think we could use one.
This kid they brought up today, Anthony Richard or Rashad, I don't know how it's pronounced, whether he's French Canadian or not, but he's got the second most goals on the Providence Bruins, a lot more than Lysell.
Yeah.
I mean, the positive thing is Coyle's showing some scoring touch. Frederick's showing some scoring touch. I mean, that's like bringing those guys, breaking that barrier in their confidence is like picking one of those guys up in a trade, you know, where they've become point getters now, not just grinders, but actual goal scorers. That's been a big help for this team.
Well, it's just remarkable. We're February 8th, and we can confidently say that the Bruins have a chance to win the Stanley Cup.
They do.
So there you go.
As much as anybody. Are we not going to talk about the Super Bowl at all?
Oh yeah, we got to do our
Let's
Super
have
Bowl
a prediction.
We have to. Come on, we have to.
All right,
Let's do it real quick, and then I gotta get
And the
going.
Russ has got to go. All right, we'll finish Super Bowl predictions. Russ, you first. Kansas
You
City
lead
against San
off, Russ.
Francisco. What's the spread?
I'm not betting against Patrick Mahomes for my life. So
And
I
he's
think
the
it's going to be
underdog.
I think it's going to be a relatively 24-21 KC.
Oh, Casey. Okay. Close.
Over under is
Yep.
47. You're close.
Oh wow. All right, Joseph.
I'm going to go with San Fran by 3, in just because good defenses have bottled up Mahomes over his career, but it's going to be close because he's always going to score. 24-21.
You have the opposite of
Yeah.
Russell. Okay, Timmy.
I will go 27 KC, and Mahomes brings them down the field for either a game-winning field goal or touchdown.
Wow. All right.
Like
I'm
that.
going to San Francisco.
Great.
I'm going to San Francisco because I'm rooting for San Francisco. So I'm at 31-28. San Francisco wins, and
All right.
and then the offseason. All right, boys.
We're fools for betting against Mahomes. I
know.
You
but
are.
But
You are.
don't like them. All right, boys. So that's our show for tonight. I want to thank the fellas. Please check us out on our website at thegrandstanders.com. And next week on Wednesday night, we will be in the studio for the first time.
Oh,
in a
that's right.
very long
Is it
time.
Wednesday? At what
Wednesday.
time?
I have
6 o'clock, I think.
I have 7 days to lose 25 pounds.
No, actually, you have 6. All right, that's our show for tonight. My name is Scott Kerman.
Well, the camera will add 10